I remember in DE that you and I went through together, and we were in the same group,
Yep.
and it was a wonderful experience. That of all
Sexy
of the,
Sattiewhite is still alive.
what was that? Who?
Sexy Sattiewhite is still alive.
I actually think it was Mrs. Sexy White,
Oh,
if
is
I,
that what it was?
and I know that because that was my one line in our group presentation, which I will never live down, I am sure.
It was cute though.
It was good. It was good. The room erupted with laughter. That was really great. But we talk about development issues in DE. And so for those who don't know, who are watching this or listening to this, DE is the development educator program that's run by the National Credit Union Foundation. And it really teaches sort of the heart of the credit union movement and what credit unions can accomplish, and how they can help people and communities. And so we talk about
Yep,
development issues.
2017, November 2017.
November 2017. Yep,
Best
that's right.
class ever,
Oh, yes, by far, by
hands down.
far. Oh, I wish I had a roster of it because, like, about like half of the class have turned into CEOs of either organizations or credit unions. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Just the leaders in that room, and just the personalities. Like I remember Lois Kitch. Other DEs are going to listen to this, and they're not going to believe it. But we were sitting in graduation, and I remember Lois Kitch being like, we kind of say this every class that oh yeah, this is the best class ever.
But we
But she's
were.
like, I'm serious. This is the best class ever, and we know, we know it is.
Oh my
Everyone else
God.
from the DE class, you can dispute it, but it's the truth. Really happy to have you here.
Thanks, Tom. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I am so glad you're here too. I love getting together with you and talking, all things credit unions. But I know that you have a special place in your heart for small credit unions. Something that I think about when I was at the annual conference a couple of years ago, and you held, I think it was the second small credit union roundtable or summit that you do at the beginning of the conference. Like I remember sitting through that event and being like, "Wow, this is like the best small credit union conference I've ever attended." And I'm like, it's my job, or it was my job at the old company to run small credit union programs. And like Renee just like throws an event onto her annual conference, and it's way better than anything I've ever done. I was like, come on, Renee. But no, I know, you're really passionate about small credit unions and credit unions in general. So of course I appreciate that support and that passion. And I know, just to kick us off here, that you have a special event coming up in April. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that event is and some of the goals that you're trying to accomplish?
Well, Tom, thank you for that. As you know, I'm not one who likes to sit on the sidelines and watch people do stuff or talk about doing stuff. And that's what think keeps happening for small credit unions is that people always they think they have a solution. They want to talk about it. They want to talk about it. They want to meet about it. They want to meet about it again, and then they meet about it some more. Well, I'm tired of hearing that. I'm just tired of hearing that. So I decided last year, one of the things that when Navy Federal came on board to be a partner with ACC, they asked me what was in mind for ACC, what types of thing we're going to do, and what would you do with our support? And I said part of that support will go to help small credit unions be more viable. Also, True Stage. Terrence said, "What are you going to do with the support?" I want to help small credit unions. Tom, imagine if, and I'll get back to the summit that's going to be held April 2nd through the 5th. Imagine if True Stage were to put together an executive plan for CEOs and we figure out how to fund that to help support their retirement, then
Mm,
probably I would venture to say, I'm not going to say a percentage, but a good portion of small credit unions wouldn't have to merge. Most
yeah.
times they're merging because the CEO has slaved away, an American slave at that, slaved away at getting this work done for the communities. So imagine if we could pour back into them. So I think that's a great thing. So
Yes. Yeah.
the Small Credit Union Summit is bringing like-minded people together to be in a room for 2 to 3 days and to solve for the back office solutions, to solve to what things that can we do that are going to help small credit unions be better and more sustainable. And so
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
really, really excited. It's not a who's coming, but it is a lot of vendors who have a lot of great ideas. And I just can't wait for us to walk away with solutions that are viable for credit unions, smaller credit unions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we always sort of pointed out for successful small credit unions is that reliance and the importance of having strong relationships with third parties. Because when
Hmm.
you're a small credit union, you have fewer resources. You don't
Right.
have the ability to do a lot of stuff in-house. And so having really strong partners who kind of understand your business model and
Yeah.
understand your pain points and your challenges, having a good group of those third parties is really crucial to being successful as a smaller credit union. And so I do think that getting all of them in a room together to kind of hash it out, with credit unions also, right?
Yep.
Because there will be a pretty good number of credit
We're
unions in
trying to have
attendance.
10, we're trying to have at least 10 credit union CEOs there. So from small credit unions, because that's the other thing that happens. All these people say, oh, we need to solve for the small credit unions, but they don't have a small credit union CEO in the room. So
Right.
that's like, and I don't want to bring it up like this, but that's like diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you don't have the right people at the table, you can't have the best solutions.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. And so, really getting an understanding of what those pain points are and then crafting a solution to those things. I mean, it seems like a really important conversation to have. So, I'm looking forward to being there. I don't know if I can share that, but I'll definitely be
Oh,
there.
absolutely.
Yeah. And really excited to be a part of that conversation, help facilitate in any way that I can, because if we can come up with some solid solutions, it's going to be really impactful.
Yes. No, we
So
not if we will come up with
we
some
will.
solid solutions. Yes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We will. Absolutely appreciate that. Okay, so next question for you is, what's on tap for the AACUC Hall of Fame induction ceremony taking place at this little event called GAC coming up in March?
As you know, I always talk about how ACC is a CUNA baby, and now America's Credit Union. So I guess we're America's Credit Union's baby now, because we started at the GAC years ago.
Yeah.
This particular Hall of Fame is going to be extremely special. Um, all of them, like every event at ACC, they're really, they're great events. But the Hall of Fame induction that was created by Helen Godfrey Smith when she was the chair of the fundraising committee, brilliant, just brilliant. She was a small credit union go-getter too. And when she created it, we didn't, it was to do fundraising. It's turned into something so huge now that the we had at the OAS building last year, we had over 560 people there.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
it was beautiful. It was
It
beautiful.
really
I mean, the
was.
space, the space was so nice. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a great event.
And what
Yeah.
was cool for me, the people who, and I don't want, if I start naming them, I'll miss somebody, and I don't want to do that. But I'm trying to think, could I remember everybody? It was John Brasakis, Maurice Dawkins, Bob Trunzo, Karen Madry, Anthony Stevens. Oh, I hope I didn't miss anybody. Oh, they were great, and their speeches were wonderful. But
Mm.
one of the most moving things for me that night, Tom, was that we were able to. It was in March, so it was March is Women's Month. We were able to celebrate Mary McDuffie, who I just think is just 10 times dynamite. She had just recently retired like a day earlier from Navy Federal.
Yeah.
She was in the room. Lee Brady was in the room from CQ of North Carolina, and Bev Anderson was in the room from BECU.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, we
Yeah.
got the top three women in the house. It was
That's right.
phenomenal. And they were able to get standing ovations. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this year is going to be so special. We're honoring two people who have passed away. One is
Mm.
was a chapter officer of ACC, and one was a board chair. And you got Tony Black. at Baylor College of Medicine Federal Credit Union. He was the president and CEO, longtime supporter of ACUC. I miss my friend truly.
Mm.
We used to tease, we would meet at CU leadership. He wouldn't come to ACC conference because it was the NCUA examiners would come at that time. But
Okay. Yeah, of course.
he would always go to CU leadership. So we would go have lunch there. So I
Yeah.
miss him dearly. Then
Yeah.
Barbara Leonard, who was the board chair at Unitas Community Credit Union, which I'm excited for them. And then
Mm.
Harold Roundtree, who was one of our first vice presidents at our West Coast chapter and the president of Uncle Credit Union. I remember Adrian Johnson bringing him to me. He said, "So this is what we do at the GAC. We're at the booth, especially Bert J. Hatch Jr. He doesn't hesitate to talk to anybody. If you are a Black person and you look like you're about something, Bert J. Hatch is going to introduce you to AACUC." And so I remember we were at the booth and I walked up and he says to me, he says, he goes, "Did you know that Marsha Majors is she's a credit union CEO of a billion-dollar organization?" No, I didn't. So like there were three at the time, two at the time. She was the first Black woman to be over $1 billion credit union. Anyway, back to my list of Hall of Famers for this year. Gerardo Smith from Educational Systems Credit Union. And my fifth person for Hall of Fame is Pearl Wicks. Pearl Wicks is at
Mm.
Hope Federal Credit Union, and she's so deserving. It was the sweetest thing when Ed and Bob Bill called me to tell me thank you for putting her in the Hall of Fame. Like she deserves it. She earned it. The board approved it. It was wonderful. And she's just the sweetest lady and works so hard for Hope Federal Credit Union, one of our smaller credit unions, right? So it's a wonderful thing. I'm excited. So the AACC African American Hall of Fame will be held at the OAS building again this year. It's an incredible space, and it's going to be on March 4th, the day after the Herb Wagner on DEI Tuesday. And
Perfect.
Now Cup will be holding their luncheon there, the same place. So that's going to be great. And
Okay.
we love DEI Tuesday, and I think Inclusive will still do Juntos Avanzamos breakfast. And so Juntos, excuse me, Avanzamos. So yeah, it's going to be a really great day, and I'm sure that Happy Cup might be doing something too. And then of course CU Pride. So DEI Tuesday, we love DEI Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, it's really great. It's a really great day, and all those events are fantastic. They're the best events at GAC, you know. Between us, they are the best. Between us and everyone who's listening, I guess, to the podcast.
You know, I have an appreciation for the GAC that I didn't have before,
Mm,
because I was just very singularly focused on ACC and ACC's booth and the networking meeting, 7 years ago. Um,
mm.
or 10 years ago, actually. But now, having traveled the country so much, doing credit union work, visiting credit unions and CEOs, it's been pretty amazing to me. And how blessed are we as a system that we can come together? We have different conferences throughout the system, but at Governmental Affairs Conference, we really do come together and relearn each other and get reacquainted. So I think it's a really good time. It is not the same as our conference, but it's certainly I always say it, they're the big kahuna. And I think that the level of professionalism is extremely good. And so, and I loved going to the Small Credit Union Roundtable when you were
Which
hosting
is
it.
which is
So
still happening, still
yes,
happening. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Yeah, it is kind of the everything conference, you know,
Mhm,
like anything that you are interested in as it relates to the credit union industry, you can meet people, you can talk about it, you can learn something about it.
mhm.
It is sort of like the big, family gathering of the entire industry, and
Right.
it's important to be there. I think if you're invested in, and this is obviously not a plug for America's credit unions or the conference, as someone who doesn't work for that company anymore. But like if you're interested and invested in the future of the industry, it is something that you should be attending, because there are just so many people there, who will probably have like interests to you, and who you can collaborate with or form collaborations with. And so I definitely support and advocate for being there. I will be there again this year as an attendee of the Small Credit Union Roundtable, which will be strange, but will be fun. I think it'll be good. So, looking forward to it. And, speaking of the induction ceremony, it has grown so much and has turned into, you mentioned 560 people last year. I mean, this huge event. It sort of is reflective, in my opinion, of the trajectory of the overall organization, AACUC, and how much you guys have grown over the past 10 years, 11 years. And so as you think about, your time there and everything that you have done leading that organization, like what does it mean to you to think about, not only how big the induction ceremony at GAC has gotten, but the sort of the influence and the presence of the organization overall in the industry. Like what does that mean to you? How do you feel about that?
It is it's humbling. It's also I feel like I'm in a dream. I really do. When ASUC received the Anchor Award in 2022, for me, it's the Nobel Peace Prize of the credit union industry. So
Mm,
for AACC to receive such recognition, really makes me feel good about the work that we do. What I'm most proud of is that we really put young people out front, and I'm pleased about that. I think that if every organization could push their young professionals, one, we get difference of ideas. We get probably more efficiency in getting stuff done because you guys are better with technology than us people over 60. And and
we'll
the
be about that last part then.
I don't care, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
The 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 way that AACUC the first I knew AACUC had sparked something when I was on a call and someone said, "We start on time and end on time, just like at AACUC." So
Oh,
let me
okay.
unpack that, okay? Typically, people think that Black people don't show up on time. And so for someone in the industry to be saying that like AACC, we start on time and end on time, that means we're making the right impact. That's what
Mm,
I wanna hear stuff like that. I wanna hear that it was, that people are good. I enjoy hearing people tell me that they attended our conference and it's never, they've never attended a conference like that. And I tell people all the time, once you come to AACC's conference, your life will never be the same, especially if you're a Black person. Imagine going into a room full of professionals that look like you. Um, I um, when CUNA was CUNA, they had 13 Black people. America's Credit Union has 23. I'm excited. That's growth. That's, you know
mm,
what I mean?
mhm,
That things are moving forward. And so I just get real excited when league presidents call me or big credit unions call me, small credit unions call us and want us to help them with their journey. And
mm,
it is it is more than humbling, but it is a responsibility, Tom. And
yeah.
I don't take that responsibility lightly at all.
Mm, mm. Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely see that, and I think everyone sees it and feels it. And I mean, I don't think that your job um would be wanted by many people, I mean, you have one of the toughest jobs I think in the industry, bar none. And how fortunate are we all that like the industry found you, or that you found the industry, or however it happened, because to see someone like you in that role and to see you excelling and creating all this influence for that organization, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And so I mean, you should be really proud. And it's really inspiring to watch you work. I will ask you, this wasn't in the script of questions, but like I think you're probably feeling and aware of like sort of, and maybe you're not feeling this, and so maybe this is a good sort of litmus test here, but like a little bit of a pushback on sort of the DEI, you know movement or what have you, whether that's from the political side or from the cultural side. But I guess, maybe the first question is, are you feeling that? And do you see that? And what's your response, or what is AACUC's response, and how it continues to be a leader in pushing Black voices and African American voices, and leadership in the industry?
Well, a couple things. So the first thing is, uh, December, the league presidents have their annual conference, and I
Mhm,
was asked to moderate a panel on DEI, and that
mhm,
question came up. And I answered it honestly, as you know I will. And in that answer, one, I told that group, that didn't look like me, that I was apprehensive after the election to do this particular session. But the people on the panel are my personal friends and business colleagues, and the people in the room made me feel wonderful and comfortable. And so I didn't have any angst, because I have relationships with many people in that room, but more importantly, they were all leaning in. The leagues want to do better. The leagues want to do a great job. And so that question of, is there pushback? There's not pushback at ACC. I think we're in a bubble. We're in a bubble at ACC with the credit union industry, right? So the credit
mm,
union
mhm,
industry as a whole is still seeking assistance, understanding. So that's good. So if you think about it like this, there are credit unions who are run by people who have hearts or hearts and mind like mine. And so those are the people that we'll gravitate to. And that'll be okay. There are
mm,
4,500 credit unions. We'll be okay. We're gonna be fine.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I personally have not received any pushback, as an that I've noticed as an organization. Our memberships are still up, our current members are still paying,
mhm,
and we've gone through a conversion. Thank you, Danya Dorman. We've gone through a conversion that she's done extremely well. And so I haven't seen that. Am I dismayed at some of the things that are happening outside of the credit union industry? I absolutely am. I
mm,
absolutely am. But as I've said time and time again, Tom, I believe that the credit union industry, through this commitment to change, will eradicate racism. I believe it.
mm,
I believe that
mm.
credit unions will lead this country in showing people how to do it well.
Mm. That I cannot agree with that more. I mean, that is the power of this industry. It really is. I mean, the fact that our business model is built on representation, and giving everybody a voice and how things are run. I mean, first of all, that's how this country was supposed to be.
Right?
And credit unions are sort of a microcosm of that, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I remember in DE, that you and I went through together, and we were in the same group,
Yep.
and it was a wonderful experience. That of all
Sexy
of the,
Satterwhite is still alive.
what was that? Who?
Sexy Satterwhite is still alive.
I actually think it was Mrs. Sexy White, if I
Oh,
if
is
I,
that what it was?
and I know that because that was my one line in our group presentation, which I will never live down, I am sure.
It was cute though.
It was good. It was good. The room erupted with laughter. That was really great. But we talk about development issues, in DE. And so for those who don't know, who are watching this or listening to this, DE is the development educator program that's run by the National Credit Union Foundation. And it really teaches sort of the heart of the credit union movement and what credit unions can accomplish, and how they can help people and communities. And so we talk about
Yep,
development issues.
2017, November 2017.
November 2017. Yep,
Best
that's right.
class ever,
Oh, yes, by far, by
hands down.
far. Oh, I wish I had a roster of it because, like, about like a half of the class have turned into CEOs of either organizations or credit unions. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Just the leaders in that room, and just the personalities. Like, I remember Lois Kitch. Other DEs are going to listen to this, and they're not going to believe it. But we were sitting in graduation, and I remember Lois Kitch being like, we kind of say this every class that, oh yeah, this is the best class ever.
But we
But she's
were.
like, I'm serious. This is the best class ever. And we're like, we know, we know it is.
Oh my
Everyone else
God.
from the DE class, you can dispute it, but it's the truth.
So I gotta
Yep.
say this since we're talking about DEs, right? So I did a learning and share trip to Kenya. We took 32 people over there. It was phenomenal.
Oh,
and,
awesome.
Lois was over there. Lois does a lot of work over there in Africa, and so George, who was our mentor at our group,
Yep.
George, Ampado, he is the executive director of ACOSCO, which is the, trade organization like America's credit unions in the continent of Africa, and
Mhm.
so we went, these 32 people 32 of us went over there. While we were there, things happened as things do. It actually felt like a DE class, right? It was
Mhm.
amazing. But what we did was what came out of that was the Burt J. Hash Jr. Fellowship. That
Mm.
fellowship gives a person who's a United States credit union person who's working at a Casca on behalf of a Casca, a stipend of $1,000 a month for 12 months. And the first
Oh.
recipient is Lois K. And if
Oh my
anybody wants
gosh.
right? And if anybody wants to donate to the cause, the Burt J. Hatch Jr. Fellowship, go to AACC, www.aaccc.org, and click that donate button and tell us that $5 is for the lowest kids. I'm sorry, for the Burt J. Hatch Jr. Fellowship, and this year it benefits lowest kids.
Oh man, that's
Isn't that
awesome. That
cool?
that yeah, that is really cool. We will definitely put that in the show notes after the fact. That is really awesome. Yeah, I'm throwing $5 at least into that fund for sure.
Well, what's really, really phenomenal, Georgia United Credit Union is led by Debbie Smith. Debbie Smith is a phenomenal woman, and she is she's a 2024 recipient of the Renee Sattiewhite Neoteric Changemaker Award.
Mm.
But she was one of the people who went to Africa, and she came back so inspired. She said, "Renee, that was a great trip. Thank you for inviting me. I want to do something significant on behalf of that. In your name, I'm going to give a personal donation to AACUC. Where should I put it?" And I said, "How about you?" She's giving us $5,000. I said, "How about you put that toward the Burt J. Hatch Jr. Fellowship, and Satty Training Productions will do the other five, and then we'll get 2,000 from the membership." And that's what she did.
Go. Oh, very nice.
They're
Very
cool.
nice. See, you're always building these connections and making things happen. See, this is why I have such high hopes for the summit in April. It's because like you get shit done, right? And like that's what we got to do. I mean, we got to
Yeah.
do that for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
So, okay, wow, fantastic. So, okay, so let's get to our last question here, and it is about the annual conference. I was doing a little poking around the website. I didn't see any big announcements yet. Maybe I missed it, but what's going on with 2025 annual conference of the African American Credit Union Coalition?
2025, we're gonna be in the Atlanta area in a little town called Alpharetta, Georgia, about 5 minutes away from Fiserv's headquarters. It's gonna be very
Oh,
interesting, and
okay,
I'm seeking to really rehabilitate Fiserv.
okay.
I got a phone call that the president of the organization had put a certain lady in charge, and she called me first thing and she says, "We want to do a better job with our credit unions." And I
Mm,
said, "Well, I'll put my reputation because I like her. She's a real good friend. You know how I am. If you're my people, I gotta take care of you." And she's one
that's
of my
right. That's
people.
right.
And I told her, I said, "I will put my reputation on the line because, as you know, Fiserv doesn't have a good reputation in the credit union industry. And I've been one of the ones saying, they need to do better. And I'm pleased to hear it." And she says, "No." She goes, "My CEO called me specifically and said, you get things done, and I need someone I can trust to handle this." And I
Mm,
just thought that that was great. So I think we have a
yeah.
really great opportunity to bring Fiserv in and get something done in a way that it helps credit unions, and so they're not frustrated.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm all for second chances, you know. I mean, it might be more than just their second chance at this point. But yeah, I mean, Fiserv they're big, right? And they still have a lot of influence. They still have tons of credit union clients across the country.
Mhm.
Anything that can be done to help them better serve credit unions is ultimately better for the industry and
Yep.
certainly for those credit unions that they serve.
Mhm.
So I think that is a really fantastic idea. I'd love to have that person on the podcast, or maybe we can do some sort of
I will
introductions
connect you.
at.
I will
Yeah,
connect you with Leslie Pierce.
yeah, that would be fantastic. Or at
Great.
least have a meeting at GAC or something.
Oh,
Will
yeah.
they be at, will
I think
Leslie be at the
I
summit?
don't know, but I'll find out. I'll find
Okay,
out.
okay,
Find out.
sounds good.
So the conference, I'm so excited. We have a theme. Our conference theme is not like us. We are
Mm,
bold, we are mindful, and we are brave. So
okay, okay. Wait, is that a
yeah,
little
it
bit of a
is.
play off of
Absolutely,
Kendrick Lamar?
absolutely, absolutely. You gotta be in the
Okay,
know to get it, man. You gotta be in the
okay.
know to get
O
it. Yes,
okay.
indeedy.
I mean, I'm not that cool, but I do love Kendrick Lamar, right? Like, you're crazy if you don't like Kendrick Lamar. And I just heard he's the halftime show of the Super Bowl this year.
I didn't know, but that's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
it's gonna be great. Well, what
Yeah.
inspired me for that theme was when I was in Kenya. Kevin Martin was there from Schools First, and he's over there. He's EVP over there. Strategic. He's in charge of strategic planning and strategic growth, something like that. He's got this
Mhm,
long, educated title, and
mhm,
he was telling me about all employee meeting that they had, and that was the topic. And that when he talked about, financial institutions are not like credit unions, they're not like us. And then he said that once he did that, and then Bill Cheney, who was my hero, Bill Cheney, the president of Schools First, came up and he took it. He drove it home, and then I said, you know what? That would be a great theme for our conference. I got a little pushback on it, but I think that if you make sure that it's not about what he's saying about, it's about credit unions are different. We are different.
right.
We're different. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
embrace that. Let's move forward. Let's drive a Mack truck through the difference and pull us all together. I'm so excited. I really am excited. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
my
I
staff.
mean,
This is the best part though. So I've done 25 conferences at ACC. 20,
b
22 conferences at
okay,
ACC.
yeah, yeah.
And my staff now, they've all been together for the last 3 conferences. I'm so excited. I'm so excited 'cause they don't let me do anything. They don't let me do anything. I remember being in my home, walking over stuff. You know Sheila Montgomery. Sheila
Yep. Mhm.
Montgomery was one of the board members who was local. She came to my house because that's where we were operating AACC out of my house. She came to my house. She had to make herself a little trail just to get to the restroom, to the bathroom. But now we're in these swank offices at Georgia Credit Union, Georgia United Credit Union, which is phenomenal, just phenomenal. What a
Oh,
partnership.
that's awesome, that's awesome. You know, the other thing I like about the theme for the conference, other
Mhm.
than it's a Kendrick Lamar song, which is pretty sweet, is that it's something that's a little more youthful, and I think that's something that our industry needs in a major way.
Mhm.
And here again, the AACUC is leading the way in addressing one of the major issues facing the industry. So that is such fantastic news. I'm so excited to see how it all unfolds, and I'm excited for the summit that's taking place in April.
Now we have childcare, dude, for conference. Just saying.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yep. You've offered that in the past too. So I really appreciate you, and childcare is expensive. So that is another nice service that you're providing. So I appreciate that.
Well, if you want young people to come, you got they don't
Yeah.
how can like that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Oh
and
yeah.
then you got either yeah, so it's just easier to have to have childcare here at the conference. And it's not a new concept. My mom, who's now 83, she'll probably get mad at me for telling her age, but she looks great, so I guess she might not be mad. But when she was in her 40s, or 50s, she used to go, and she lives in San Antonio. I remember she used to go to the Marriott, and they had a service that when people were there for conferences, they hired this vendor, and that vendor came in and they watched the kids. It was
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
amazing. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple concepts, but yeah, I mean, so helpful for young families and young professionals, right?
I
Oh,
think it's
so great.
thoughtful. I think it's thoughtful.
Totally.
I remember when the pandemic hit and the board of directors and we had a conversation. One of the things that I told them was, I want ASUC to be the organization with the heart. When it's all said and done, I want us to be
Mm,
the one with a heart.
mm,
I already know, even though our conference is smaller than most, It's still a pretty good size, but I would venture to say, Tom, we probably have the most young people at our conference than any conference in the system.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do think that that is sort of the existential challenge facing the industry is how we get more young people interested in working for credit unions and being credit union leaders. Like how do we get in front of these young professionals or these students, these college students who are making these decisions about their futures and their, career choices? And how do we make sure that they understand that credit unions are here to be that thing that they can really sink their teeth into because there is no better industry, right?
Right, right.
So, I mean, I love that, and so thank you for all that you do to lead the charge on that front, and so many others. Renee Sattiewhite, President and CEO of the African American Credit Union Coalition. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.